Chris Rock had an interview with New York Magazine where he said a bunch of controversial and interesting things, but one of the things that he talked about was the disparity between the rich and the poor in this country, and how if poor people knew just how well wealthy people lived, there'd be riots in the streets. Now, he gave a very specific example. Let me give you his exact quotes verbatim. If poor people knew how rich people are, or rich people are, there would be riots in the streets. And then he said, if the average person could see the Virgin Airlines first class lounge, they'd go, what? What? This is food and it's free? And they, what? Massage? Are you kidding me?
I loved your Chris Rock impersonation. You can just see Chris Rock being like, what? What? Anyway, so it's funny because I was on an airplane today and I was all the way in the back, the last row. My seat did not recline and I was right next to the bathroom. So I had a very similar experience. I didn't. So I've been on both ends of that because when I worked on TV, they used to fly me business class, sometimes first class, fancy, right? And I used to talk on the show about how they give you warm nuts.
They literally do.
Literally.
They're seasoned too.
But there's no reason to warm up the nuts.
There is.
Just isn't.
It makes them better.
It makes it, okay, all right, okay. Agree to disagree. Anyway, and so now, and of course, every other time I fly coach, right? And so what they've done is they've shrunk the seats to comical levels, right? So my shoulders don't fit. It's not that my gut doesn't fit, which also doesn't fit, but the shoulders is on her side of the, there's a woman next to me, and I'm trying to type, I'm like trying to do emails for work, I'm like this, okay. Anyway, but my shoulder sticks out into the aisle, right?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Every time somebody passes, they run into my shoulder. I don't blame them, it's sticking out in the aisle, because the seat's about this thick, right? Now, here's the thing. You know how you used to get your tray, right?
Yes.
And the tray would fold. Now you notice it folds so that in half. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know why that is?
Why?
I figured it out today. Because it wasn't just me. Half the people, once they recline their seats, if you bring it all the way out, it goes into your gut, okay? And they know that because they shrunk the seats, right?
Those sons of bitches.
Okay, so that's why they had to make the trays foldable, okay? And it's the little things. Like, remember when you used to put your papers into that little folder thing or whatever? Now they've made it so tight you can't put anything in. Like, they're just fucking with you.
But look, it depends. It depends on what airlines you fly. It's so funny because I had a long conversation at a bar with this like rich elderly dude last night, right? And he was talking about.
I wonder why he was talking to you for so long.
Right. So anyway, and he was talking about his like trip to Dallas and then back to LA, and he talked about Virgin America versus every other airline, right? And it's true with Virgin, and this is not an advertisement for them. I don't mean for it to be an advertisement. I'm just telling you based on my personal experiences, right? Virgin is so much better because they don't fuck you like that. They just don't, right? You have space. You don't have the foldy tray. They look out for you. They even make their safety video interesting and fun to look at.
Yeah. No, I agree. And again, they're not a sponsor, although we're not arguing. Okay. But Virgin does give you a little bit more room, which then makes it feel so much worse when you go on the other planes. Yeah. And so at this point, like, I want to be rich just so I can afford a human seat. I'm not asking for that much. Chris Rock's talking about massages in the lounge. Okay, I thought there was no sex in the VIP lounge, but okay. And I'm pretty sure that's a different Chris Rock thing. Anyway.
It's champagne room. But
champagne room, okay, all right. But so I don't need the massage, I don't need the warm nuts. I just want a seat I can fit in. Yeah. I'm not asking for that much. But that's what's happening. It's a disparity, right?
Yeah.
The rich are getting richer and they're getting, unbelievable food and all the common, and then we're getting seats like this big, right?
You know what else they're doing? Oh my God, I love this conversation. Another thing that they're doing is the overhead bins have become significantly smaller, right? So you can't bring on your rolly overhead bin thing or your carry-on luggage because they want you to check it in, so you pay the $35 to $40, right? Yeah. These are horrible people. You understand that, right?
But they're not. They're robots. I don't mean the people. The corporations. They're trying to squeeze every last nickel out of you. And that's why they do all these things, because if you make the seats smaller, you could fit more people into the plane.
I hate everything about flying.
Okay,
this is actually giving me anxiety.
I'm going to defend the airline industry a little bit. The reason why they do that is so we can afford to fly, because it used to be something that was only for the very, very elite. But now I don't know about most, but a lot of people can fly, and that's the price we have to pay.
That's why you see all these lazy bums in
Yeah.
sweatpants getting on planes. Remember, everyone was in suits and really pretty dresses back in the day. Now you have all these bums. Like, we got to change
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So no, and Steve, I've said that in the past, and their prices are really reasonable. People get mad when I say that, but they are. I mean, you're flying across the country; it's miraculous, and it's a fair price, I think. Okay.
And the fact is, most of them are losing money.
And yes, and they're horrible run businesses. They almost all lose money. I don't know if it's a good industry to be in. I understand all that, but I don't know. I feel like it's soul crushing, right? To come back to Chris Rock, it makes me want to be rich, just so that like I can be treated with decency.
I was at a really bizarre dinner party this past weekend at the home of a super, super rich person. It's a giant mansion with 2 guest homes, like a half a mile long driveway just to get to their house in LA. It's crazy. Anyway, this guy.
2 guest homes is nothing but trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, this guy has a room dedicated just to listen to music. It's ridiculous. Okay, it's this huge room the size of
Me
this,
too. It's called my living room.
Yeah, it's the size of this entire studio, and he just has these massive speakers that are about 8 feet tall. And someone set up the whole thing so that there's a chair right in the middle of the room. So from there, it's like the perfect acoustical angle to hear the music. And it's a huge wall full of all the old LP vinyl records.
Yeah.
And that room alone was probably several $100,000.
So Chris Rock is right. If people knew how rich the rich are, they would riot, right? And the thing is, I don't begrudge them. We just have to be sensible. We have to set sensible rules, and we have to stop And the rich have always had yachts and mansions, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Just stop crushing our soul.
Yeah, and look,
right?
there's one other thing that I think is important and I should mention. It's not so much that they're wealthy so they can afford certain things that poorer people can't afford. It's the fact that just because they're wealthy, they get so many perks for free, right? Like, oh, you have a big name? Okay, we're gonna give you all of these electronics for free just because you have a big name. Oh, you're a celebrity? You're gonna go to this award ceremony and we're gonna give you a gift bag that has $20,000 worth of stuff in it. Think about the number of people in this country that are working 40 hours a week, minimum wage, and they don't make $20,000 a year, okay? Yeah, people would riot.